So we're glad to get this thing rolling again here. We're in phase one, so we're going to do this a little bit different this year, and not in comparison to what we've done the last couple of years. It'll be basically the same, where we're going to do our meetings virtual. So in phase one, you're able to meet with the players, and then they can work out. No coaches supervising any football activities. So we're gonna meet with them virtually. There's a number of guys that are here lifting, but these are all voluntary camps. So all three phases, but they will be able to work out on their own and do that part. We've had some gatherings with some of the skill players offensively. Pat organized some guys that are down in Texas with them, and they're throwing all the new receivers. A couple of new receivers that we have are down there with them, and along with the rest of the skill players. So new running backs, et cetera, et cetera. So it's moving in a positive direction. Look forward to getting these meetings started as we go forward. We cover all the things that we done with our scheme evaluation in the offseason. The coaches spent a lot of time and effort putting together and going back through each play that we ran and evaluating them so that we can give the players a good teaching tool, and then adding new things to the package. So offensively and defensively and special teams. So all three phases will get, the players will get a good evaluation of the things that went on and any changes that we might have made. Anyways, that's what we're doing now. We're in the mornings. We've been doing the football part. In the afternoons, we've been doing the evaluations for the draft and with the players that Brett and his staff have given us to look at. With that, time's yours.
We'll go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, how you doing today?
Doing good, Adam.
Good. Hey, in general terms, if nothing else, what's your offense going to look like without Tyreek now? Are we going to see something that you'd say might be significantly different? And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be significantly different. It'll be similar to what we did when in the games that Tyreek couldn't play in. We just there are certain things that he did very well that we'll have people try to fill in those spots, but without forcing anything. What we do on this is we try to play to the player's strengths the best we can. So we'll see with some of the new guys what they can do, and then we'll work around that.
Okay, and also you talked about the two new receivers at the owners' meetings, and you basically said, "Hey, we like their size. We felt like needed their size." Why is that so important? Why did you guys need to get bigger at those positions?
I don't know if necessarily we had to get bigger. These guys are bigger, so you're going to utilize some of the things that you can do with a little bit bigger guy. That we're fortunate that they have speed, athletic ability, and size. So you try to take those redeeming qualities and exploit them the best you can, and that's what we'll do. It ends up being a little different flair, though, than what we maybe have had in the past.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, I want to echo Adam. Good to see you as always. Hope you're well, man.
Thank you. Yeah, all good.
Yeah, I have two questions here for you as well. Kind of following up to what Adam asked you about the offense without Tyreek Hill. Mecole Hardman obviously has an opportunity to do some more things here. Well, what's your vision for him coming into this season? And I'll have a follow-up.
Yeah, well, the one nice thing is we know what Mecole can do, and we have a lot of confidence in what he can do. He was coming off a good year, and he's going to continue to grow here over the next couple of years even. So but Mecole has the speed, like a Tyreek had, different player, but like Tyreek had. But he gives you a nice skill set there with the speed and quickness and ability to run when the ball is in his hands. He's a very aggressive runner when he has the ball in his hands. So you find ways to do that in a variety of different ways.
And an in-house question here, Coach. Lucas Niang, obviously the knee injury last year. Where is he in his recovery process, and what's your hope, or you anticipate him being able to be back on the field?
Yeah, so Lucas has done a nice job rehabbing, and Rick has stayed on top of that part, and we'll just see. I don't want to put a date on it, Herbie, but we'll just see where it goes once we get back into these next two phases after phase one, and we'll see where his progress as he goes forward there.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach. Echoing everyone. Good to see you.
Yeah,
likewise. Brad, I'll have a second one if you don't mind. With Patrick, every time we talked about what he's working on in the offseason, it seems to always be the pocket presence, seems to really have a knack for throwing on the run. That's a work in progress. How much are you trying to focus year by year on transitioning to him in a pocket first passer, and how is that coming along?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to tell you something like that, Pete, because he's been so successful doing it the way that it's worked out, and we've kind of built some things in there for him along with that to his strengths. And you end up having an offense that was one of the top offenses in the league. You start looking at third down, you're the top third down team. You start looking at reds, all the critical situations, and he's done really well in those areas. So you don't want to change too much. He's always going to work on his timing and with the routes and the receivers, and he's doing that now. And all the fundamentals that go with it. That's one thing you appreciate about him. He's always trying to get better at those things. So, but moving around in the pocket and doing that, he's been very successful at that. And it puts a lot of pressure on defenses.
And then just a quick question about Marquez. In Green Bay, he was looked at as kind of just a deep threat guy. He came here and said, he feels he's more than that. What do you see maybe untapped in Marquez? Could there be in this offense?
Yeah, so he's a big kid. He's very smart. I think it's great that he's getting a jump start with Pat here, going down and on his own time there and working with him. And so just so they get to know each other. But I think Marquez can do a lot of different things. He's got good stop-start ability. He's a big target. He can run your slant games. He can take your deep throws. He can run those intermediate routes. He's got a good feel in space. So he gives us a little flexibility in there. They did more than just a deep threat with him. I mean, they incorporated him in, the whole passing game, and he can kind of do all that stuff and does it well. So we'll look forward to getting him in and mixing him in there. He seems like a really good kid. I haven't had a lot of time to spend with him, zero time with football. So, but I think that, when he came in for his visit, just him talking about what they did at Green Bay and watching the tape with him, that you could really see that he's got a nice package there to work with.
Let's go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Hey, Coach, appreciate the time here. I'm going to copycat everybody else and jump two questions on you. The first one, football related. How many times have you rewatched or rehashed the second half of the AFC title game?
Yeah, so we've gone back through it. I've gone back through it on my own, but it's been in all our cut-ups. So we've had a chance to look at all that. Yeah.
And then the second one, there was a report coming out of the NFL owners meeting that you kind of had emotional words with some of the guys in there. I know you're private. I know this was closed door and all that good stuff. But kind of in the aftermath of Brian Flores and everything that's going on there, could you share your overall message in that meeting, and then maybe kind of generally how the league can kind of fix that problem?
Yeah, so listen, I was proud that the owners were willing to listen to and interject their thoughts. the whole situation. So and the coaches, they stood up and did the same thing, and a couple of general managers stood up and talked. And I just think it's a great topic, first of all, to be discussing. And I took that as a real positive, that it was being discussed, and the league's willing to move forward on some things. And I think actions are important. So there's some good that came out of that meeting moving forward here. And that's right now, that's all you can ask for right now. So let's it's not all about money. It's more about actions and money. You've always heard that in this business. It's easy to give someone more money, and it's a different thing to really get down and show and do. And so that's what I'm seeing. And the owners had great coaching points for us as coaches, and we had what we thought were decent and good coaching points for the owners, and they were willing to listen, which is great. I think it was good for everybody in the room.
Let's go next to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach. You've mentioned how Patrick and some of the guys got together down in Texas. What does it say about your guys that they want to do that kind of thing on their own time? And how beneficial can that be that when they get here for OTAs, they've worked together a little bit?
Yeah, so they're lifting and they're conditioning and they're and then they're running routes and doing that. So and the defensive guys, they're doing their thing too. So I just think that that's where I have the trust in the guys to be able to do this with the virtual. I don't need them right here. We've played a lot of games in the last 4 to 5 years, maybe more than anybody in the National Football League. So having them with a little time away to do their bonding with themselves, especially with the influx of new players, I think is important. And then when they get here, they'll be revved up, and we'll be in this building for quite a time. So these 2 weeks here, though, that they can really be with themselves working, I think is and getting to know each other, I think is important. Yeah,
Let's go next.
great question.
Let's go next to Retro.
And Brad, I'll have a follow-up as well. Coach, Patrick has talked about how he was out. There's a business side to it, right? There was a lot of issues, or a lot of, not issues, but a lot of things that go into making a decision. Like we're going to be moving one of your top targets.
Yeah, so I think Sir and I kept it, myself and Brett kept it wide open with Patrick as part of playing that position. There's a pretty good chance there's change going to take place throughout your career, and so that's all part of it. I also mentioned it to Kels just so he had a heads up on it too. Those guys are very close, and the three of them, and have had a lot of production for us. So. But it's important that they see that part of it. That's part of this game, and change does take place. So, and I think you beat around the bush on it. I don't think that's good either. I'm kind of upfront, and this is what it is, and this is the plan going forward.
And then I know Brett Beach handles the cap and all that, but it's something you obviously have to be aware of as well. And it's a reality, right? With having to put that all together. Is it safe to say that you guys have kind of transitioned, that you've gone from being the rookie quarterback contract with Patrick Mahomes, which gives you a lot more flexibility, to maybe now having to play more of a long game, as opposed to, each year being a year that you can grab every piece that maybe you want, and now it's more of a big picture view?
Well, yeah, there's a strategy involved with it. Again, Patrick did a comfortable deal where we could, we have some flexibility there too. And, but in this day and age, unfortunately, you can't just pay everybody. It's a hard thing to do, to extended contracts. And so You're going to lose a guy here and there. That's how it works. We're in good hands, though. We've got an owner that understands that and is sharp with it. Brant Tillis and Chris Shea are Brett's counsel right there that have a great feel for the cap and staying current with it, but still being able to project some into the future. And then Brett is phenomenal at working all the angles there, and has a great understanding of it too. So, and it has that aggressive personality to go forward. And he immediately, worked on that, and by bringing in the couple of receivers that we did.
Got time for a couple more. We'll go Sam McDowell and then Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. You mentioned that the scheme evaluations, without asking you to get into specifics, are there things that pop up once you're allowed this window of time to look at yourself, as opposed to things that might, you be able to address during the season? And then how much of the evaluations that you had already done changed than the stuff you give to players, information you give to players after you make a big change to your roster, like trading Tyreek?
Yeah, Sam. So as time goes on, you see a little bit more of what you're going to have to work with and where guys are at. And that'll continue on because there'll be some more changes. We're going to have additions with the draft, and then at different spots. And then you're going to have whatever free agents we sign as we go forward. So you got to stay a little bit flexible. If you just keep in mind, though, that you're going to go in and try to utilize the guy's strengths, and that's where you can see certain things that maybe you didn't see before. You go, you know what, this kid's pretty good at this. Maybe we need to look at increasing this role right here. We do a pretty good job of staying on top of the problems during the season, and then obviously during the bye week, you're able to go back through and rehash what you've done there with a little more condensed time. But you're able to put everything together. You're also able to spend some time looking at new ideas, how they might fit into the offensive, defense, and special team, and then how those fit in with the players that you're trying to utilize. So
We'll go last to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Coach, thank you for your time as always. And Brad, I'll have a quick follow-up too. Our dear friend Therese Paylor used to love to say that the contract year is undefeated. In your experience, what kind of a motivating factor is being the last year of a contract for a player in their prime? And do you use that as any type of motivation for players, or is that something you leave to the players and their side and separate?
I tell you, in that situation, that money talks, right? So they're all going to try their best to have their best year. And so, but within the framework of the team, you don't want somebody that's out there just playing for themselves, obviously. So there's still a team element involved, but you're going to get their best during those contract years. So, or at least that's what I've found. I know some people say that the guys tank, but when you're in the hunt of things, they're all in there and going full speed. So that's what I've seen. I don't have to talk about it. I mean, they know these guys are well educated, and they know what's at stake. And we've been fortunate that the guys have really been in attack mode when they get into those situations.
And Chris Jones last year, he dealt with that wrist issue all season. He mentioned to us that he might have surgery in the offseason. Where does he kind of stand? Is he 100% ready to go when you hit the OTAs?
Yeah, he's been in the whole time here, lifting. So he's I think he's feeling pretty good. He'll be ready to go, I think. Yeah. You look good, by the way, man. You look like you've been working out here. Huh? That's great.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
All right. You guys be safe.